All right. Welcome everyone to God Got You Girl, my very, 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 very first live. And I got my number one cheerleader here with me.
Period.
I am so honored to have you guys here today. This is a new journey for me at God Got You Girl. Originally, I came on and I was just showing you guys my journey and how everything had been going with me with just truly now not only accepting Christ, but following Christ, right?
Mhm.
And throughout that time, I've just keep hearing people always saying, "Oh, you're such a light. You're so encouraging," and I truly, truly appreciate that. But something was just placed in my spirit when I was listening to your live, Daily Dale, about how encouraging testimonies are. And
Mhm.
I just think that people need to hear testimonies so that they know that God is still out here in these streets moving. He's
Yes.
alive. He is still hearing our prayers. He is still right by us. He is still wiping our tears and laughing with us when we laugh. And I really am excited about these testimony Mondays because people get to share their testimonies, and it's not just about me. It's about showing you that God got you, girl, right?
Yes. Yes. Period.
Oh, so I am so glad to have you all here. And I just thank you. And yes, testimonies are
Hey,
so
obedience
good.
podcast.
So glad to have my sweets and lovely here. I hope it's
Yes.
okay that I even call y'all that. I'll give everybody who means anything to me a nickname.
We are here for it. Period. Like we already know what time it is. So I'm just glad to be here. I'm really excited for you. I know we've had many a conversation almost every day we talk, if not every day. So I am just glad to see you actually doing this because you are such an encourager. Like you're always just like helping me feel more confident, helping me feel encouraged. I mean, y'all, these streets, like these content creation streets and business streets are brutal. Okay. So many a day I'm hanging on by a wing and a prayer. And I'm like, I know if nobody else is going to encourage me, you could always look for a message from Kindle to encourage you. So just like, and she is definitely like just my sister from another mister. Like I can just be me. So I always love connections like that. And I'm just honored that you even asked me. Like I'm always honored when people invite me on their platforms. I don't take it lightly. I'm gonna try not to embarrass you, but I'm still excited because y'all know I be cutting up. But I try not to embarrass or, or disappoint. But I am honored that you would ask me. So I'm just glad to be here, y'all. And I gotta handle housework, okay? Because at the end of the day, I want to see people on this channel. So as y'all are coming in, yes, I'm going there. As y'all are coming in, please like this live stream. If you're watching the replay, hit that thumbs up, subscribe. If you stuck around this long, you might as well subscribe because
Right.
you like her. So subscribe and invite people to watch the video or send it out if it's a replay because this is a dark world that we live in. People need encouragement. People are struggling. People are going through stuff. People are ready to throw in the towel. So, sometimes you just need to hear and see that God, like she said, is doing it for somebody else. Like, okay, if he did it for her, then he can do it for me. If he did it before, he can do it again. So send this out. Okay. We need YouTube to be pushing out encouragement, pushing out good, wholesome content to bring light to the world. Because if we could be
Yes.
seeing nonsense, we could be seeing some good stuff too. So that was my soapbox.
I love your soapbox. You know I love you, Daily Dale. You are my daily doll, as I like to call you.
Yes, I love it. And I love you too, sis. I really do. Like you are just so amazing. God does not make mistakes. He's so sovereign in how he connects people. And, giving him your yes can really just open doors for you. Because I literally, if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't have known you. So it's just all a blessing. And I'm just really honored and glad. So yeah, but that's my intro. Do you want me to introduce myself just in case people don't know me or anything?
Sure. We would love to know who you are, what you are, what you're about, just your Basic little bio.
Okay, so as you see, my name is Rondelle Martin, but on YouTube and my Instagram and stuff, I go by Delle. So that's more than likely how you know me. But I am a single mother, so my son is outside my door right now trying to get my attention. And he's 4, so that's my only child. But I am originally from the DC area, the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. And I live in Atlanta now, been here almost 2 years. October will be 2 years. I am full time in content creation in business, so self employed slash entrepreneur. But I'm a business coach when I'm not making YouTube videos. So I help women with their birthing their businesses, taking their knowledge and passions and purpose and joys and all that, and putting it into a business of sorts. So, and consulting them through that. But other than that, I love to travel. I love to dance. I love to do all sorts of stuff. So that's me in a nutshell. That's I'm here. I'm here to encourage. I'm here to be transparent and to be vulnerable, because at the end of the day, you just don't see a lot of that. I don't think you see a lot of people just really sharing their transparent stories, and they're transparent, like, this is where I'm at. This is what God is doing to me right now. Just real life. I always tell people, like, if you're looking for cookie cutter, if you're looking for PC, that's definitely not me. So I'll keep it cute. I'll keep it cute. Like, I got common sense. But at the same time, it's like, you really got to. Christian did say he would not be ignored. I don't know. I don't know if y'all were hearing him. I was trying to test my sister
Yes.
while I was talking to y'all, like, please come get your nephew.
I was about to tell you, go get my baby. Why you got him outside the door like that?
We had the talk and everything before I got on here. I was like, I will come for you. Don't come for me. I will come for you. And here he is coming for me. Like, children. But I enjoy these stages because I know the time's going to come where he's like, all right, mom, I'm going out with my friends, and I'll be like, I want to spend time with you. So, but I
Mm-hmm.
pray we always have a good relationship and we're always friends. I really do pray we have a friendship and not just mother son relationship. But needless to say, like I was saying, so it's about being transparent. I want people to see that you're always going to be a work in progress. You're never going to be perfect. You don't have to try to fit into whatever you feel you have to fit into to be palatable or to be accepted, because at the end of the day, God knows you. He made you exactly how you are. So you're not doing the world any favors by trying to dim yourself to be palatable to other people. Like, God did not intend for that. He's very intentional in how he made you. So everything about you, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, it's for a reason. And so that's why I try to show up the way I show up, so that way people can be like, okay, yeah, like, yeah, I can be me, or okay, there is nothing wrong with me because I talk like this, or I'm from here, or like, you definitely are still a daughter of God or a son of God, because I know sometimes men watch too, but you're definitely still a child of God. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my little intro, and that's why I do what I do.
Well, you definitely be dropping gems all the way around, whether it's gems in business or if it's just gems in this Christian walk. And that is really why I wanted you to be a part today. I am honored to have you here, and I'm honored that you are my first speaker. I don't know if I said it before, but listening to your testimony just really solidified that I want people to know or to hear other people's testimonies, because your testimony gave me the light and the encouragement. Even though I'm already, I'm on this walk with God, I am trying my best, to be renewed in my mind, to be a changed person. Sometimes it does get dark. Sometimes we just deal with things. Everybody knows here that I have dealt with depression, and that has been really hard for me. And the people around me don't understand that. um, and sometimes I just feel like, oh, I just want to give up. But your testimony just really gave me the light and the hope that I needed. And I was like, I want to give that feeling to others. So
Yeah.
I would love to hear testimony, whatever it is that you want to share that can be encouraging for our viewers.
Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna give like the whole general testimony. So y'all, if you've never seen me before, I be going on tangents. So bear with me. Okay, if I get off track, I
I
promise
know.
to get back on track. Just stick with me here. Trust the process.
I'm riding whatever process you want. I'm with you.
So as I said, I'm a single mother, and I have to go back to like when I was in high school, because when I was in high school, now mind you, I grew up in a very loving home, like loving parents, still married to this day. We're a very tight knit family, so it wasn't. I can't say I had anything super tumultuous in my childhood. Not at the hands of my family, maybe life events or whatever. And so, but one thing I've always struggled with is self esteem and feeling like I'm good enough. And that's why, even when I said why I show up the way I show up, I still struggle with that, feeling like I'm good enough, feeling like, struggling not to seek validation from people for them to say, you're good, you're worthy. And so in high school, because of that, I sought validation through boys. And so I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to be chose, and especially because like my best friends are gorgeous women. The people that I run with are gorgeous inside and out. And it's hard when you're a teenage girl and you're in those circles and you're seeing everybody else get chose but you. And so you're always the homegirl. That was always me. Oh yeah, you're pretty, but you're the homegirl, you the sis, whatever. So I found myself throwing myself at men in an attempt to be seen as, worthy, be seen as beautiful, be seen as a woman, whatever. And because of that, I ended up entertaining straight clowns. Okay. I was a part of the full blown circus. I was all up and through the circus. Okay. Like, it's bad because we teenagers, so you already know they're a hot mess. They ain't serious. They ain't there yet. So I'm all up and down the circus or whatever. And then I get to college and I really just started living a life of promiscuity. Like, I'm just going to say I was very just out there because I felt like this is what I have to do to be acceptable. And this is the thing that the world will tell you. And I'm here to tell you right now, as a single mom out here in these dating streets, while they can be rather ghetto, there are men out here that will respect your morals. Okay. Because I'm a very like grounded person. I'm very sure. I'm very much like I said what I said and I meant it. So when I approach these situations, they're still supportive. But back then I had it in me, but I wasn't confident enough to show it and to stand on my morals and my values. So I really just became promiscuous because that's what the world says. It's do what you want, do what feels right. It doesn't matter this, that, the third. And I will put a benchmark here and say, for those who are maybe struggling with promiscuity or sexual desires or temptations, like, I don't want to sit here and make you feel like you're less than, because we all have been there. Okay. None of us are better than the next. So I'm not casting judgment. I'm not talking down about you. Trust and believe. Your girl be in the fiery pits. Okay. Like,
I was there too, burning. Gasoline draws.
Okay, period. So I'm like, you are not alone. But just know that there is strength through the Holy Spirit. If you really want that, if you feel that nudging in you and you're like, this is not the life God had for me, that's the Holy Spirit nudging you, and he will give you that strength to stand on it. While temptation will come, it's not going to stop coming. If anything, the devil's going to come harder, but you will have that strength to say, you know what, I'm not going to. Or if you do slip up, you'll be able to redeem yourself and get back on track. And so I entered a relationship with my ex-fiance, and that wasn't like anything super bad, but it was just a major, like, it was me settling. It was me not trusting that God had for me what he said he has for me, and being like, well, I'm gonna just take this. And don't get me wrong, he's a great guy. He just wasn't for me. But because of that, we ended up breaking up for various reasons, and it was nothing dramatic or anything. We just decided we were going in different directions in life. And then I got with my son's father. And so let this be a lesson. Don't rebound, because rebounding is not it. Like, that's just not it at all. So I got with him. And that was a very like emotionally abusive relationship. Always being put down, always being called out my name, always being just like, talked down to, being made to feel like I'm just not good enough, that I should be feeling blessed and fortunate to even be with him, because who else would want to be with me, type of thing. And letting my flesh keep me there, because I was so consumed with the exterior of him fitting a type that I'm like, oh, this is what I like, this is what I need, this, that, the third, swag. Like, stuff like that, like, just ignorant, just straight ignorant. So that kept me in there. And then I ended up pregnant with my son. And like, I literally had this conversation last night with a friend, And I was like, you really, truly never really know a person until you go through something with them. If you want to see someone's true colors, go through something with them, or go through something and let them be in your life while you're going through it. You're going to see exactly who that person is. And the red flags are always there. It's just that you have to be aware enough to notice the red flags and not want them to be looking like white flags or trying to give the benefit of the doubt. When they show you who they are, believe them. And he showed me who he was. And he was straight up like, I don't want to have children. I don't want to even have this child. Tried to convince me to have an abortion. I said no, because that's not something I personally believe in. Again, if you have been someone who's gone through that, or you're, struggling with that, or you've been tempted to, maybe you're in that crossroads right now, I'm not casting judgment. I understand why people would consider it, but I also want you to uplift that baby in your womb to God, because God does not make mistakes, even if the situation around it is not what you had in mind. So not casting judgment. If you need prayer or anything, I'm here for you. And if you just need real life advice, I'm here for you too. But I told him no. And because of that, he dipped out. And literally the last time I talked to him, heard from him anything, was when I found out I was having a son. And I told him we're having a son. And he was basically just like, I mean, why are you telling me, type of thing. And that was it. So I proceeded on my single motherhood journey, and it really just came to a head for me because I realized that all those years leading up to it, God was trying to work on me and have me see myself the way he sees me. But I was so busy trying to get validation from people that do not matter at the end of the day. Like, they don't have a heaven to take me to or a hell to put me in. I'm so hell bent on like getting them to say, yes, you are beautiful. Yes, you are worthy. Yes, you are lovable. It's like I literally just kept licking the knife and cutting myself and not realizing it until everything just rubber met the road, And so now here I am facing single motherhood, trying to get on my feet, all this kind of stuff. But when I say God is so sovereign, like literally 2 or 3 months before I found out I was pregnant, I had joined my old church in Virginia. And it was literally God's timing, because my best friend at the time kept asking me to visit this church because she lived in Maryland still, or she had moved like further south in Virginia. And I was like closer to DC and Virginia. And she was like, oh, you got to check it out. You got to check it out. I was still going to my old church in Maryland. And she was like, well, this one's like 15 minutes from your house. Check it out. I was like, I don't know. I really like my old church. One day I just felt led to go. I was really battling with like the fear of death and just like so many different things, anxiety and whatnot. So I was like, I'm gonna just go to this church. It's nearby. Let me check it out. As soon as I walk in, the sermon was about the very thing I was struggling with. And I felt like the pastor was talking directly to me. And that's confirmation. Like, if you go to a church or anything and you feel like that sermon, that word, that thing was for you, that's like God wants you there. That's a clear telltale sign of what church you're supposed to be a part of. If you're looking to join a church and like you go and like the pastor's just always speaking to you, like there's always something that's like, wow, like I'm being so fed here. That's a church you're supposed to be a part of. Like God wants you to be there. And so I was like, oh my gosh, the people were so friendly, everything. So I ended up doing the membership interview. Then 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant from my doctor. And so I was very embarrassed. I felt like a fraud, because it's like, here I am in church every week, and then here I am showing up saying I'm pregnant. And so I expected to be casted out. I expected them to be like, oh, nah, you can't come here. You can't join here. Because I've unfortunately seen that done in other organizations. And they really rallied behind me. They were like, no, you need a church family at this point. You need someone and people to be around you, helping you live and whatnot. And you're going to need someone to help you raise that child. And so they went ahead and voted me into membership and stuff like that. And when I tell you, these people were family, like my family and my pregnancy was very tumultuous. I lost like 2-3 cars. I moved twice. I was on government assistance. I mean, just everything that you could think about. I literally felt like a walking statistic. But these people came, they gave me food, me and my family food. They gave us countless rides. Okay. And the DMV has terrible traffic. If you're going to do anything in the DMV, it's going to be sitting in traffic. So they took me to my doctor's appointments. I was a high-risk pregnancy. I had like 4 or 5 different doctors, all throughout the DMV, hours apart. They took me to every appointment, took us grocery shopping, paid for everything, helped us move. We didn't have to pay a dime. came and lifted stuff out. I'm talking like 20 people, an army of people coming to the house to help you move, buying you food the day that you move, literally commuting like an hour to our house just to take us grocery shopping. And we're not one store shoppers. We go to like 3, 4 stores. They never made us feel rushed. Like that was honestly and sadly the first time that I really experienced true church, like how God wants us to live, a community. Like, yes, you're not perfect. Yes, the situation isn't what you intended, but we're not going to judge you because of it.
Right.
We're not going to, cast you out because of it. We're going to come alongside you. So
Mm-hmm.
they came alongside, helped with that. And then, my son's born, everything's great, whatever, whatever. And I ended up like really just doing a healing journey. And I made a commitment when I was pregnant to really just be wiser about relationships that I enter. I know I'm not going to be perfect. I know I'm going to mess up again. I know I'm going to do things that I didn't want to do or didn't set out to do. But I was like, I'm going to be more intentional about how I go about it, at least, and do the internal work to make sure that I'm not making decisions based on traumas or insecurities or fears or whatever. And so my family ended up, fast forward to 2019, my family got like this urge and this nudging from God to move and relocate out of Virginia. And so at this point, we had moved further south, closer to Richmond. And we were like, yeah, like we just feel like the door is closing here. And that's another sign too. Like if you notice that where you're at, it's just closed door after closed door after closed door. Like no matter what you do, it's just nothing is progressing. That is also, in my opinion, a very telltale sign that God wants you to move. And sometimes moving can mean just pivoting. Sometimes it can mean literally picking up and moving like Abraham, and I'm so serious, like pick up and go to that new land.
Right.
And that was my story. I had to pick up and move to a new land. And so we did the praying, we did the fasting. We basically were thinking between Atlanta, moving to downtown Richmond, because we were in a small town outside of Richmond. So moving closer to Richmond in the city, going to Charlotte, going to Atlanta, or going to Birmingham, Alabama, because we have like friends there or whatever. And we shortly considered Texas because I have a cousin there, but we didn't really take it seriously. So we were looking at those 4 places. We were leaning more to Charlotte or Richmond. But when we kept praying about it, God was like, nah, go to Atlanta. And he placed certain people in the path, some relatives, some friends that pushed us in that direction. Honestly, even though those people, not all of them, but some of them ended up kind of like leaving us high and dry in the journey to Atlanta, I can see why he placed them there, because if he did not place them there, we would not have been so open to going to Atlanta. So it was the assurance of like, okay, my cousin or this longtime friend is saying, come here, so I can lean on them, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
Lo and behold, we pack up, we're moving down to Atlanta. We get a call that the home that we were pretty confident we were going to get, we're not going to get unless we give $7,000 more, and we can only agree to sign a 6-month lease. And we were like, oh, no, that's not going to work. And granted, the real estate professionals at the time, they thought we were, like, they weren't sure, but we were all pretty confident. So that started us on our journey of being homeless for almost 2 months. And in the journey of being homeless, it was rough. But when I say I had so much peace, like, and this is why I always tell people, like, seek God. Because if you know, like, God sent you there, you're going to have a different attitude. And even though I'm like, okay, this is janky. Like, I'm supposed to be walking into a breakthrough. I'm supposed to be like, starting anew. And I'm walking into homelessness in a new state where the people that I thought I could count on literally left me homeless with my family, and I'm trying to figure it out. So I had to rent a car. I'm doing DoorDash, but even through that, I'm seeing the faithfulness of God and whatnot. So we're looking at homes, we're getting denied, looking at homes, getting denied. And the more you apply for stuff like that, like homes, cars, the harder it gets, because it's like your credit is continuously being pulled, it's continuously going down in score. Like it's all these things, and you're wasting money because you're paying for these application fees. So finally, I just reached a breaking point. I'm like, God, you asked me to come here, because I definitely was not looking at Atlanta like that. I was looking at Charlotte or Richmond. So why am I here? The night that I prayed and had that conversation with God, I was featured on the radio. I don't know. It's a national syndicated show. So the Darlene McCoy show, whatever state you're in, whatever station that might be. But, here it's 102.5 in Atlanta. So I was featured on that because she did this segment like the Night Rider or whatever. And hey, Francis. And she was like, everybody who is listening to this, like, send in your stuff real quick and I'll pick somebody. So she had picked my my homie Stevie Rizzo. He's a Christian artist. And so I was like, ah, man, like I'm probably not going to get picked because they probably only doing one. So that night they decided to pick two people. They don't normally pick two people. So her co-host was like, I'm going to pick someone. And I was like, oh, okay. So he's like, I'm going to pick Delle. Y'all, when I literally, when I say I literally lost my mind, I was like, oh
Yes.
my God, because it was thousands of people. And he just literally was like, I'm going to pick Delle. So he puts my name out there. She's like, oh my gosh, love your content, this, that, the third. Everyone go follow her. So that gave me a huge boost. That gave me a huge boost in my brand and recognition. And I was outside the fish market with my sister, and we were like, I was crying. I was crying. I was like, oh my gosh, I got picked. Because to me, it was like, that was God reminding me, like, look, I know the
Mm-hmm.
situation that you're seeing looks janky, but this is a glimpse into where you're going. Like
Yes.
people are noticing you, people see your work, people, you're impacting people. So even though you got betrayed, you got left high and dry, this is where you're going. So don't let that stop you, you know? And so from there, it like gave me the light under me that I needed. And so I really went into like even deeper prayer because I was like praying every day and stuff, but I went into even deeper prayer. And you know, I was like, God, like, I've been praying for this house. I've been praying that we get something like this, like that, this much square footage, this many bedrooms, this many bathrooms, specific. I mean, down to the square footage and the layout and all that. So I'm on rently.com and I'm looking for a home to rent. And then I find this neighborhood that I live in now. And I'm just like, oh, wow, like they're building new homes and you can rent and stuff. So I just love newer construction. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am bougie in that way.
Girl,
But
my broke self ain't got a credit to nothing. Okay.
I just love. I'm like, give me some granite, something like you know. Please help us out. So I see it and I'm like, oh, we gonna go check it out. So we go come to the neighborhood. We look at the homes. There was like 5 for rent because they were still really building at the time. Now they're on the other side building, and so we're like, oh, we love this home that I'm sitting in right now. And so we go ahead and apply. Right, long shot. We're like, we don't even know if we're gonna get it at this point. Our credit done took a dive because of so many credit applications, you know, and
Right.
stuff. So we're like, we just gonna try it. Y'all, when I tell you we got in this house with zero income, because none of us were working at the time. And even though I was doing DoorDash, like it wasn't enough for me to say, oh yeah, I can afford to pay the rent, you know? So we got in here, zero income, nary a dollar to our name. Brand new house, brand spanking new. And we didn't only get in here with no income, we got in here with less money down because the other homes that denied us or were trying to like swindle more money out of us, they want us to pay like 2-3 months down. 2-3 months rent down. This house was only 1.5 months down. So we ended up saving money and then we came in a little cheaper under our budget. And we got a brand, like when I say brand new, I mean like sawdust in the garage. Like no one has used this bathroom. Like we're the first ones in here. You know, they weren't even
Smell
done
like
painting
wood
the house.
when you walk in the door.
Right. You know, they weren't even done. They weren't even done with the house. And they're like, you got it. So we were like, oh my gosh. And y'all, it came just in the nick of time, like Obedience Podcast said, because that was we got approved like 3 or 4 days before my birthday. My birthday is November 28th. And that year, 2019, my birthday was Thanksgiving. And I was just every day in prayer, crying to God. I'm like, God, I want to be in a house for my birthday. I don't want to be homeless on my birthday. You know, like I just want to have a home. That's it. I don't care if I get a cake, I don't care about the gifts, none of that. I just want to have a roof over my head. And God answered that right in the nick of time. Like I remember my sister coming in the hotel room and telling me, and I just literally fell out on the floor in tears because I was like, all those fervent prayers, like back to back to back, just relentless. Like, God, you are not going to forsake me. I don't care how long it takes. I know you're going to come through. And he came through. I was almost at my breaking point, like, because homelessness, like I tell people, it's not hard to become homeless, especially in a city like Atlanta, because there's so many people. And unfortunately, we live in an evil, dark world where people take advantage of people in those situations. So they see that you need a place, but they're like, I'm going to charge you more money. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You have to jump through all these hoops. And then people end up becoming homeless. There's a reason why you see so many people living in extended stay hotels. Like when I'm doing Uber Eats, I deliver a lot to extended stay motels. Yes. And those people live there. They're not on vacation. You can tell because you can see when they open the door. And I'm just like, it's sad. It's really sad. And those are not, depending on the motel or the extended stay lodge, it's not a savory place for kids and for family. Like you can definitely tell the activity going on outside. I'd be scared and I'm just dropping off food. I'd be running to the car, you know? So it's just like, it be real in these streets. So I'm like, this is not something to take lightly. And it's very easy to turn a blind eye and say, oh, well, you got in that situation because you weren't financially
Mm-hmm.
stable. You were financially irresponsible. You were this, you were that. All of us are literally, well, not all of us, because I don't know your financial situation, but a lot of us in this country are 1 to 2 paychecks away from being in that situation. So it's like, we got to wake up and not cast judgment and be willing to weep with those who weep and rejoice with those who rejoice and be the church, be the hands and feet. If you have it in your account, why wouldn't you help someone in need? Like, if you've got the savings, if you have enough that you can save and somebody comes to you and they need something, why would you not help them? Because they don't have enough to save. You have enough to save. But y'all, I'm getting riled up. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep moving this testimony along because I'm getting hot. I'm gonna have to turn on the fan. I'm getting hot. You know?
You're coming in hot.
Because it's so close to my heart because I've been there. You know, when you've been there, it's like it's a different story. You're not just speaking in hypotheticals and theory. You're speaking from real life, you know? And so, needless to say, we move in the house. I spent my birthday cleaning, and that was the most joyous cleaning time I ever had in my life. I've never been so happy to clean a house. But but I did that. We went out, got some food. That was cool. But I still had car problems. So let's go back again. So like I said, when I was pregnant with my son, I was going through hell. Okay. Didn't have a car, moving back and forth, whatever. So literally from 2016 until this year, I've been having car problems. I've had periods of time where I rented. I've had periods of time where I didn't rent because I'm like, I don't have it in me. So we didn't have any transportation. We're taking Uber, whatever. But if you know Georgia, you know you need a car because ain't nobody's public transportation down here. Definitely not where I live because I'm in the outskirts. If I was downtown, maybe I would have taken a chance on the MARTA, but not in where I live. Okay, Paulding County, you better have you a car because there's barely a sidewalk. There's a sidewalk on half of my neighborhood. The other half, it's like you short, like you just gonna have to walk on the road. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I'm renting a car, and I started renting through Turo last year. Yeah, I started renting through Turo last year. Absolutely hate Turo now. So I would never do it again because they ended up, the way that they do it is like if the host says that you did something, the car owner, they just take their word for it. They don't investigate. They don't give you any like real justice or any sort of like, redemption or anything. They just go with it and they charge you expensive fees. So I had rented the car from the owner. The day I picked it up was starting to snow. So he was rushing along and didn't allow me to take pictures of the car. And so he put the car pictures he took in the system. And when I took the car back to him, there was a scratch on the back right side tire, like this big. And he said to Turo that I damaged the car, and they charged my sister's car like almost $900. I mean, I'm saying he could have scuffed this thing out. Like he didn't even have to take it to a mechanic. So that really put us in a bind because when all of this happened, it was literally days before the shutdown with the 19. So I'm like, okay, well, now I can't work because now Turo's locked me out the system. You've taken $900 out of my sister's account. So she's short. What am I going to do? So I literally went on my Instagram stories, and I didn't do this to get like money or anything for people. I just was really tired because I'm like, I feel like in this whole move down here, people keep kicking me when I'm down. Like I'm taking 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. I'm trying to make an honest living. I'm trying to have integrity. I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to do all these things. And it's like, I keep getting kicked when I'm down. So I go to my Instagram stories and I just start venting, and I'm venting to the point of tears. Like I'm crying because I was so burnt out and just over it. And when I tell you again, God is sovereign. Like he knew I needed to start my platform for a reason, not only to encourage, but to be encouraged. Because I'm really like my biggest critic, but also my biggest cheerleader. And I really beat myself up when things don't go right. It's like, how could you have done better? How could you So when I started venting and just like crying and kind of low-key losing it, to be honest, people started volunteering money, and they were like, how can I help? Like, what's your Cash App? What's your Venmo? What's your Zelle? And I was so glad because literally like 3 days later, the lockdown was declared. And like I said, I wasn't able to work because I couldn't rent, and I didn't know of any other venue to rent. So if it wasn't for the donations, we would have been up a creek, y'all. Like I'm talking no toilet paper, no like food, no paper towel, like no laundry, nothing. Because what that guy did messed me up to make money. Mm-hmm. So I was able to get about $600 almost, like 5 something in donations, just from me being honest and just from me saying I'm not okay right now. Like this is what my family is going through. And I'm just venting. Like I said, I didn't do it to get money. I was just venting. But because of my honesty, because of my transparency, people donated. And that's why I always tell people like, yes, I get wanting to be private because I feel like I've mastered the art of being private but still being vulnerable. It's weird to explain, but I feel like I mastered it. But at the same time, it's like closed mouths don't get fed. So you can't let your pride get in the way and be like, oh, I'm not going to say this. I'm going to act like everything's okay. Don't do that. Don't suffer in silence. Like give it a try. If you try to ask someone and they deny you, at least you tried. But if you don't ask, if you don't like put yourself out there, if you don't go forth and actually try, then you don't know if anything's going to actually come to pass. And you're just sitting there in bondage, And so that helped a ton. Then I didn't work for a couple months, but fast forward to October of last year, a lot of my Christian artist friends, they're like Christian singers, rappers, engineers, whatever, like musical engineers. They were coming to town to Atlanta for like photo shoots and video shoots and radio interviews and the whole nine. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're coming. I definitely gotta have a car. I gotta be able to meet up with them and all that. So I went to rent through Uber because they have like a leasing program or whatever. And all of the cars were booked out. Like, because by the time people got the okay to like go back out and start delivering and stuff, everybody and their grandmother was delivering. I mean, you could like the roads were packed. And that was the first time I had ever seen Uber not have a car in the entire metro area. I've never seen that. Usually you can find somewhere, even if you got to go far. They were like, everywhere is booked out. And we don't know when people are returning cars because you can use the cars for your personal use. So people are like renting to work, but then also you get a car for you. And so I'm like, dang, like, how am I going to get a car? So I Google and I find hire car. I absolutely love the concept of hire car, but it is not good for long-term renting because it's very expensive. So the good thing with hire car is once you rent, the car is not on the platform anymore. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, someone might book it and I got to find another car like Turo. Turo was a hustle because you can have the car and someone else could book it. And then you got to find another car. Like it's a lot, But I was like, oh, hire car is perfect. Like it's technically my car, but it's very expensive. So I start renting through hire car. I'm making money. Everything's great. But long term, I'm getting tired. Like it got to the point now where, again, like I said, delivery driving is inundated because people at this point have lost jobs, cut hours, all sorts of stuff. So they're like, I'm just going to deliver. Like it's easy to do. So I'm seeing my revenue go down. So where I used to make maybe $100 in 4 or 5 hours, now it's taking me 7, 8 hours to make it $100. And I can't leave the house early because I got to take care of my son. I'm trying to still build a business because that's going to be my legacy. That's what I really want to do. That's my dream. And I have to leave late. Plus I've worked earlier in the day and it's not lucrative. Like you're out there, but you're not making money really because people ain't ordering until dinner time. So it got to the point, y'all, where I was literally sleeping outside of gas stations, like outside of racetrack, outside of Quick Trip, just trying to stay on the grind where I would get up, I would eat, I would get ready, I would hit the road, work. I would get tired, park in a gas station or maybe a hotel parking lot, depending, because now they're really cracking down on that, where they'll call the police on you if you're parked outside the hotel. And that's happened to me before, and I would just get a quick nap. And oh yeah, they came knocking on my window one night. I woke up and I was like, I see a flashlight in my face. And I was like, what in the world? And they're like, oh, we got a call that you were sleeping out here. They were friendly, thank God. But it was just like, we just want to make sure you're okay, whatever. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'm just taking a nap. I deliver food. I work at Uber. They're like, okay, well, be careful. After that, I definitely got up and drove away because I'm like, I don't need another call. And who knows who I might run into that second time. So, I got up, I left, but, I had to just end the night short. But I would literally do that. I would leave the house, work, take a nap in some public parking lot. And then I would get up and work again. And then I would come home, coach business clients, do YouTube, consult, do that, and then do it all over again. Like literally, I was not getting much sleep. And it was wearing me down. Like I was coming home. I'm like, God, like I just need something. Like my back hurts, my feet hurt. I'm groggy. Like I'm not even able to thrive because, I think I had posted this on my stories the other day where one of my business friends on Instagram was like the truth about entrepreneurship or like my true journey or something. And she was sharing like the ups and downs and things that she had been through. And she was like, people always show the glamorous stuff, like, oh, I'm making this amount of money and I got this many clients and I put in the work and I'm seeing the results and da da da. But they never show that, like, you might have a ton of clients this month and next month you have nothing. Like, literally, no one is booking a service, no one is buying anything, and you are busting your behind. And you're like, okay, well, now I got to go grind and do my other hustle. So that's why a lot of times entrepreneurs have so much. And so that's why it was tiring, because it's like, I'm not just doing this just to say I hustle. Like, this is a must. I got to do this. This is survival. Because at this point, my sister didn't have any like full-time thing. Like, she's getting projects part-time and stuff, but it wasn't anything full-time. My mom's retired, and we're still dealing with the repercussions of that. And I was like, God, I need something. So this summer, I went back home last week. I came back last week, I think. I went back home to the DMV. The plan was that I was going to stay with one of my friends. Ended up not being able to stay with her. That was a whole hot mess of a situation. That's another lie for another day. But needless to say, it pushed me in a situation where I had to get a car and I had to find accommodations now. Because had I not checked in, I would have literally had no place to stay, or I would have been like rambling, fumbling around when I got there. So I go ahead, I book an Airbnb, but it takes the money out of the money for my down payment for my car. Because during this time where I'm grinding, I'm saving money, I'm doing all this stuff, plus with tax refunds and just extra stuff I get, I'm saving. So I was able to save a couple thousand, but between my dad having to switch retirement homes in Guyana, because he's in Guyana living there, my two of my aunts passed away early July, end of June, early July. So I had to give money for that. Then with this, monkey wrench in the plans, I'm eating into my savings little by little. But some of the stuff I had to do and I wanted to do. This one I didn't want to do though. This was just straight up ghetto the way it happened. But I booked the Airbnb. Now I'm like, okay, at this point, I only got like just under $1,000 left. But I need spending money to get on this trip. And I also need money for insurance. And insurance ain't that cheap these days. Like it be hurting. It'd be a whole nother car note. Like if you're not.
It is. It's crazy. Highway robbery.
Okay. And so I'm like, at this point, I only have maybe $500-$600 to put down on a car. And I'm going to be transparent. My credit is not like stellar. I don't have 800 credit score. Like, it's rebuilding, and it's at that point where most people probably would not want to work with me, but they could if they wanted to. It's at that point. And so I'm like, this is risky, but we're going to do it, God. You've done it before. You could do it again. Okay. Like, because in 2014, I got a brand spanking new Nissan with zero money down. And my credit was even worse back then. I was making more money, but my credit was even worse because I was in the government. But needless to say, I'm going from dealership to dealership. I'm applying. I'm test driving. One of them looked promising, but I'm glad it didn't work out because the car had too much mileage. And I didn't realize that until I got there. So that was a blessing. God blocked that. Then I go to another dealership and they were like, nope, not going to work. Like, I was in and out in like 15 minutes. Then I get to the last dealership, and that's where you and I were texting, I think. Uh-huh. Yeah, we were in the DMs. And I don't know how we even got on conversation, but I was just like, oh, I hope you're having a good day or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm at the dealership, and I've been here for like 2 hours. You're like, oh, that's a good sign. When you've been there that long, you definitely about to get a car. I was like, okay. I was like, I hope so, because I would be so pissed if I sat here all Saturday to walk out keyless and carless. Like, I'll be like, oh, no, someone give me a car, because y'all got me all the way messed up right now. Like, I don't waste my whole day. So I'm sitting there, and I honestly ran across that dealership. I pass it almost every day. That's the funny part. But I never realized it was a dealership because the way it looks, it's kind of in the cut. But I saw it on an Uber blog. Girl, it honestly looks a little weird, but they be doing that thing though. They be helping people. But I ran across it on an Uber blog, one of those Uber like delivery driver posts or the forums. So someone had mentioned it on the forum, and I was like, oh, I've never heard of AutoNation. Lo and behold, AutoNation's been around for over 25 years. How did I not hear about this? Like, they're like CarMax, but better. Like, honestly. Me neither. And they're nationwide. I'm just like, how did I not hear them? Like, that's so crazy. And I drive past their dealerships all the time, but you just don't notice it because the sign is not obvious, And so I go there because everyone in the forum was like, yeah, they really work with Uber drivers, this and that and that. Because the problem I kept running into, it wasn't even so much my credit. Like, the credit was a problem, but the problem I kept running into was the fact that I am self-employed and that my money, like a lot of lenders are like, oh, you're self-employed. We don't know if you'll be able to afford it. Never mind the fact that my bank statements show your girl can afford it. Okay. Like, I'm making money, but I'm not able to show that because it's going in this rental car that I'm paying $50 a day for. every single day. So trust me, if I can pay for a rental car, pay for gas, buy groceries, go on trips, your girl's making money. But no, they don't want to work with me. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. So Auto Nation is one of those dealerships that, like, if you're a delivery driver and you're watching this and you need a car, check out Auto Nation, because they work with delivery drivers and people that are self-employed, which is something that a lot of car dealerships don't do these days. And that's why I went, because everyone in the forum kept hooting and hollering about how great they are for delivery drivers. And so I was like, okay, let me go. So I walk in, and even before I walk in, I knew that morning when I woke up that I was going to get a car. Even though I was nervous when I was talking to you in the DMs, that was my flesh making me nervous, because I woke up with such a confidence that I was like, I'm getting a car today. Because I had been praying. I was like, God, you know, I need this. Like, we in the trenches right now. And I don't know if any of you guys have checked out that playlist where it's like my songs that when I'm really going in the spirit, like tearing in the spirit. I play that. Like, those are my heavy hitters. Like, when we need to be before the throne, that playlist comes on. So I was playing that on heavy rotation. And if you guys want that, let me know on Instagram or whatever, and Kendall could put it in the comments or the description box. But I was playing that heavy rotation before the spirit. I'm like, God, we get in this car. So before I even get there, and after I had that boast of confidence, the guy that I was assigned to work with, he's texting me, and he's on point. He's like, what's your name? What time are you coming in? Do you have your documents? Fill this out. Let's get this started. And I put everything on the table, because, like I said, one thing about me is I'm gonna put it on the table so you know. Right. I'm not trying to waste my time or yours. Exactly. Period. Like, is we not getting this car? Like, period. So, and so I was like, here's my credit score. This is what I do. This is where I live. This is what the problem is. This is how much money I got down. Can you work with me or not? Like, cause I'm not even going to drive up there if you can't. He was like, yeah, like, that's fine. I'll talk to my manager. Let me run it by them. We're going to get the ball rolling. So I got there after I got denied by the other dealership. I wasn't even too mad, because I'm like, I feel like this one's going to work for me. And if all else failed, I had drive time set aside, which I wasn't too thrilled about, but I'm like, I know I could get a car through them if all else failed. And so I get there, and they are just efficient. They are effective. They are thorough. I mean, they were putting up with my shenanigans, because, y'all, I don't be trusting people, especially dealerships. I was popping the hood of the car. I almost pulled out the oil stick. Like, if they had the little trolley thing that the mechanics be going under the car with, I probably would have went under the car and looked at stuff, because I had so many janky cars over the years. I've learned to recognize certain things. So I was like, do y'all mind? And mind you, I'm in there looking prissy, because I'm a girly girl. So I got my hair done, my little lashes on and whatnot. And I'm in there looking like a straight mechanic, just doing the most. They were like, oh, wow, she ain't playing no games. Like,
right. Shaking the tires, like the ball joints together. You need the tire rides.
I was doing the most. They were like, oh, okay. So I tried out a Nissan Rogue, which I don't even know how I ended up looking at Nissans, because I definitely said December of last year that I wanted a Honda or Toyota, and I'll get to that in a second. But I test drove it, and I was like, okay, it feels nice. Mileage is good, nice color, but it did a little shimmy when I was driving it. And I was like, oh, nope, this is God letting me know something ain't right. Something in the milk ain't clean. We not going with it. I don't care how nice it looks. It's a deception. So I pulled the car back around, and I was just like, they're like, how do you like it? It's nice, right? And I'm like, I don't know. I did this little shimmy thing. And so they're like, okay, well, let's take a look at it. So they take it to the back. They're like, well, we didn't see anything. We're going to try and put the application through. I was like, okay, cool. Because I just had in my mind, I want to be riding high. I want to sit in the SUV. And so they're applying, they're trying. They work with almost 200 banks or over 200 banks. All of them pretty much were either like denial or they wanted more money down. A lot of them really wanted more money down. Some just filed denied. So they're like, it's not going to work. We try to finesse it. We tried to negotiate. We tried to do this. It's not going to work. So they're like, we're pulling up some other cars. They had like 2 or 3 other car options that they wanted me to try. I know one was a Subaru. I think one was like another Nissan, like a sedan. And then the car that I have, and I forgot the other one. And so I was like, okay, cool. They didn't tell me it was a Corolla now. They just said a Toyota. So I was like, yeah, I love Toyota. Toyota's reliable, whatever. If they said Corolla, I probably would have been stubborn because of my flesh. But so they're doing the cars. They're doing their thing. They come out and they're like, okay, everything worked out with the terms that you want, the payment amount, all that for the Toyota. So I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, yeah, let's go test drive it. So I go out. They're like, here it is. And I'm like, a Corolla? Like, just so ungrateful. Just a mess, y'all. A complete mess. I'm like, a Corolla? How do I go from a Rogue to a Corolla? He was like, no. I promise, like, it's a good car. It's a good car. It's going to be faithful. I was like, okay, I'll test drive it. Just attitude, just not here for it. And I was hungry too, so it was a lot going on. And so I test drive it and I'm trying to find something wrong with the car because my flesh wants what it wants, you know. Let that be a testimony too. Ignore your flesh. Like your flesh will get you caught up. So I'm trying to find something wrong. I'm driving around the test lot trying to find an issue, and there's no issue. Like honestly, if I had complained about it, it would have been petty. Like, oh, I don't like the interior color, or the radio wasn't loud enough. You know, something where it's like, girl, if you don't get this car and
Right.
stop playing.
Quit playing.
So okay. So I'm like, okay, it's a nice car. I did the same extra stuff, checked under the hood, all that. And they even popped the hood for me. They're like, check under the hood. Like, look, you know.
They like, we know we found you something good.
Okay. And so they were like, we're going to go ahead and put the application through if you agree. I was like, okay, cool. So I agree. Everything comes back. I'm on the phone with my mom trying to find someone to co-sign my fleshly desires. Like, Mom, do you think I should go to drive time? Because they got the SUV reserved for me. Do you think I should go? She was like, if they're working this hard for you, don't be ungrateful. Like, God is making a way. He sent you there for a reason, giving me the sense that I needed because I was doing the absolute most. And I'm like, oh, you're right. So I see the guy coming and he's smiling. And he had like four other people working on this application. And he's like, you got approved. And everyone's behind him like, yeah, woo, woo, woo. So I'm like, okay, like at this point, I got to take the car. Like I can't, I can't waste these people's afternoon like this.
Oh,
The whole,
okay.
right, like give me like 2 hours.
Car.
Okay. Give me 2 hours. Let me go to your competitor and see if I can get a car from there first. Before, like, I wasn't about to do them like that. So I was like, let me go ahead and just say yes. So they were like, yeah, sign the paperwork, this, that. I'm so excited for you. And everyone's like, yeah, woo. And so before I finalized the paperwork, I called my mom one more time and I'm like, can you just pray for me? Just to make sure, like, and I'm so nervous. After 5 years of janky cars,
Oh, no.
your trust is shot. Like, you just, you know. And she prayed for me. She was like, God, you know the situation. You know she needs a car. And this car is going to give her trouble. Just block it. Like, I don't care. Let something go wrong with the paperwork. Like, I don't care. Just find a way. And so I was like, amen. So everything goes smooth. I get the car. I'm driving off in my new whip. And I'm just like, I cannot believe I bought a car for $600 with my credit score.
You got a home with no money.
Girl,
A
okay.
car with $600. Okay.
Listen,
This my
listen.
confirmation that you were supposed to be in Atlanta. I don't know what is.
Confirmation. And then the funny thing is, like I said, I got home and checked my vision board and my vision book for the year. Why did I say that I wanted a Honda or Toyota in the book? So I'm sitting here looking at Nissans going completely off what I prayed for in December 2020. And God brought me right back, even in my stubbornness, even with me like, no, I want the Rogue. I want an SUV. He's like, no, you definitely prayed and tarried and fasted for in December. So we're going to bring it right back. And it works out because it's like for all the driving I do, gas is cheap, especially with gas prices right now. Okay, so it don't take me much to fill up.
Yes.
Gas prices, oh, child. That almost $3 a gallon. I'm like, can we go back to like 220 something?
It is 3 here.
Oh,
350.
child. What? Oh,
Mhm.
nah. I can't. I can't. It's like 290 something, like between 277 and 290 something
I'll
here.
take that back. Give it back.
I'm complaining. I want 210. Give me 205. Like, give me that 190 something, you know, like give me those days again. But it don't take me long, take me much, I mean, to fill up. Even with the prices now, gas lasts long. It drives like butter. It's so smooth. I drove it to the DMV and it was just gliding on the highway, y'all. It was really faithful. And it holds a lot because me and my family don't pack light. It held a lot of luggage, held all of us, drove well. So as long as I keep it with maintenance, I know it's going to last me a long time, you know. And then the way that they did the contract, it's like, next year I could trade it in and I could get the car I really want, but I would have worked up some like, you know, value to get the car I really want. So it's not going to hurt me as much. So it's been a blessing. God has been showing up and showing out and
Yes,
he's really
y'all.
answering prayers.
Danielle was going 90 and a 75.
Listen, I was definitely doing 90, 100. I looked down, I was like, oh, snap. I'm like just gliding down the highway, you know? I'm telling you, it's such a blessing though. And y'all, I literally calculated how much I spent to rent a car between last September and July when I got my car. Why did I spend almost $16,000 in renting a car? Literally, it was like 15,008 something. Yeah,
$16,000.
that
Ooh, you could
much.
buy a car for that. No
Right.
joke.
That's what I'm like. I'm sitting here renting my like, that's a whole car. So it really is one of those things where it's like if you gotta rent, do it short term, but you can't do it long term because it's gonna keep you back. Like you're just gonna have to take that jump and just buy a car because it's gonna work out better in the long run. So white stuff got me weak. Francis said my credit score so bad I'd be praying someone would steal my identity. No, it's so funny because me and my family joke. I'm like, if someone stole my identity, they give it right back. Like, girl, here,
You
take
ain't
mine
getting
because you
nothing.
need it.
Right.
Or they steal your wallet and give it back to you with money in it. Like, you need this more than me, girl. So here you
Yes, yes, girl. Girl, yes. If they took my debit card, anything, they would be depressed. You ain't getting fired. But no, I love hearing your testimony because you show us so much. Like just from the beginning, which really stood out to me is the church being an actual church to you during like one of the most difficult times in your life when it's supposed to be the most beautiful time carrying a baby. And I just think that that's absolutely amazing. And then you being obedient and following God and what He told you to do as far as moving your entire family somewhere you knew nothing about, and how He literally has shown up and shown out for you since you moved. Like, I mean, from the radio broadcast that boosted your brand, that helped you grow, the momentum you need to make a little money on the side.
go.
Um,
Okay.
to getting a house with absolutely no income and no money. And then the icing on the cake is just having your car. Like, I know we always we look at it and we think like, oh well, God he is in the business of helping and answering our prayers, but you showing your obedience is what's important. You were praying, but
Mm-hmm.
you were obedient and you were listening to Holy Spirit. And if you would have gone and moved yourself to North Carolina because that's where you wanted to go, you know,
Girl.
maybe this wouldn't have happened.
Right.
If you would have told them, oh, yeah, give me 2 hours, let me go holla at drive time, you probably wouldn't even made it to the DMV. You probably would have been broke down on the side of the
Okay, been bad as a mug. Like, dang it, I should have taken that Corolla.
Yes, yes, yes. So
It
I
really is a blessing. And I really do believe like everything is intentional. And I know for a fact if I did not move to Atlanta, all the opportunities I've had, all the platforms I've been on, all the open doors, or even the people I've met would not have happened. Like even me being a part of Black Christian Influencers, which those who don't know is the largest organization for Black entrepreneurs, Christian influencers, pastors, whatever, in the whole nation. It wouldn't have happened if I wasn't in Atlanta. They noticed me because I moved to Atlanta and because I started doing prayer series after I got in this house and I saw how powerful fervent prayer is. It moved me to be like, let me start a whole like kind of prayer movement. So I was doing prayer lives. Like thanks Yasmin, they definitely wouldn't have noticed me if it wasn't for that. So it's like everything is ordained. Even down to me getting pregnant with my son. Like I went live last October and I was just sharing a testimony about how the 11 years of struggle that my parents and I went through, my family and I, was all ordained. Like when I lost my childhood home in 2009, it had to happen. Because if it didn't happen, it wouldn't have pushed me closer to God. It wouldn't have pushed us in these series of trying to like find a place, moving around so much, being led to move to Atlanta, and then coming here and getting in Black Christian Influencers, then meeting my friend Biz, and then meeting people through him, and then get like literally everything had to happen the way it did. Otherwise, I would not be here exactly how I am today, experiencing what I am experiencing. So I'm just grateful for everything.
well, I am grateful to have had you here and to share your testimony. And I just truly, I hope that it, brought light to somebody else as much as it did for me. Because like I said, y'all know I struggle with depression, and sometimes I be in my own little bubble, and I isolate myself, and I even isolate myself with God, even though I know He's right there, probably like, girl, if you don't come talk to me. Um, but He knows how to. I always say He knows how to reach us, and he reached me through your testimony, and it just really led me to be like, oh, girl, go get back to your worship. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Get back in that Bible. Get back on your knees and pray. Or even if you can't be on your knees and pray, go back and, pray in your car
Yeah.
or in the shower or wherever it is you need to do.
Talk
Um,
to God. You don't
yeah.
have to, and I always tell people that, like, you don't have to, don't feel like you have to be confined to praying in the prayer closet for 10 hours in order for a prayer to get through. Like, we don't have to regulate ourselves to our systems, our habits. Talk to God. I talk to God literally when I'm driving, when I'm doing Uber, just randomly. Like, I probably look like I'm talking to myself, but I'm just talking to God.
Yes, yes. So we don't want to forget him at all. And I just, like I said, I hope and pray that this shined a light on somebody today, and that it will, help you as much as it helped me. Remember that no matter what we're going through, even when it is truly, truly dark, God is still there. And he still cares. He cares about, like I said, our tears. He cares about our us eating. He cares about our laughs. He cares about when somebody hurts us. He cares about everything. And so these testimonies just truly help me remember that, so that I don't forget him. And I always remember that God got your girl. So, or
Yes.
boy.
God got you, period. Like,
He does. I'm trying to look and see if we had any
any
questions.
questions, any more comments? And thank y'all for listening. I hope I didn't bore you to tears because I'm very animated. I talk. I really try to condense it, but I could talk for hours, y'all. So hopefully you got something out of it.
Oh, I love it. You always dropping gems. It really does drop gems in my spirit. So I appreciate
Of
it.
course. And I'm honored to, like I said, be here, start this off for you. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone who's here. Wife Stuff, yes. Obedience Podcast, Carter E.
Yes.
Appreciate you. Appreciate all of your wonderful comments. And I appreciate you guys' support. If you're not following Daily Dale on YouTube, I don't know what you're doing, because you're missing out for real on some good
Please
story
say it for the people in
times,
the back.
some lives. I am going to update this as soon as I can, with all of her channel information and her business information. Because even if you out here, with a YouTube channel, she can help you with that too. Like, she be dropping gems, y'all.
I got you. I got you. And thank you, Francis. I'm glad you're not bored. I'm glad to hear that because I just love to talk. I love talking with y'all.
We love talking to you, and I'm gonna let you go because Christian, like, okay, this
Listen, I was wondering if y'all could hear him in the background. I was trying to keep it cute, but I'm like, yeah, okay. When I get off this live, mama mode's coming out.
don't beat him, don't beat him. No, I'm just
No,
playing.
no, no. I'm
No,
not doing it like that.
just hold our baby and tell him thank you for letting us steal you for a little
No problem at all. He cutting up, girl.
while.
Down.
All right, you guys. Thank you again for checking us out at God Got Your Girl. And we will see you not next Monday, because my speaker can't come till the 30th. So we will see you guys then for another Testimony Monday.
Bye.
Bye.